Today on Once Upon a Time, we talk about everyone taking power naps. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, Oncers. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV. We are here doing Once Upon a Time After Show, Season 6, Episode 17, titled Awake. We're all awake.
Yes, we are.
Hope everyone's hopped up on sugar.
Yes.
You know, happy Easter to everyone.
Yes, happy Easter.
Who celebrates, and if not, happy Sunday to those who don't.
Yes.
I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV. Joining me, I have...
What is up, guys? It's Dakota T Jones, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Mr. Dakota T Jones.
And hey guys, it's Allie Nasta. You can find me on Twitter at Allie Nasta and on Instagram at Allie Girl.
All right, Awake. I know you two really enjoyed this episode,
Yes.
but what were your quick thoughts about this?
Quick thoughts. I just want to say this was the episode I was waiting for, finally, and that's all I'm going to say.
I think a lot of people were waiting for this.
Was
Yes,
waiting
Allie?
for it, definitely. And the title said it all, so we were like, wait a minute.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it was Awake, I'm like, that's a foreshadowing. It's gonna happen, and it
Yep.
did. So I think overall, I was super happy, and I feel like we have a fresh slate to start off for this battle.
Yes.
I think so.
And
I think
pretty
so.
romantic.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how they figured out how to awake
Yeah.
I know. It took
Snow
forever.
White and David.
Not only that, but it was kind of sketchy because Regina would always be like, well, it's dangerous. Well, it's iffy.
Well, what's not dangerous
I
though
know,
in
but it's
Storybook?
like, and then like something would happen, and then she would know so much about it and be like, oh, well, we can't. They have to do this, this, and this now. And I'm like, why didn't you think of that before, Regina?
Yeah.
Right.
But-
Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
Do you want to call it flashback because it's really Snow White's dream state when
Yeah.
she's under the sleeping curse? It is technically kind of a flashback now that she's still stuck in the same world as the old Storybook
Right.
during the dark curse when everyone was in a loop. And we've saw this before when Regina went back into the loop and she saw everything was going day in, day out, the same thing over again. What were your thoughts about putting it into the same parallel world?
Ooh, like like when you're talking about when Snow was going
When
around.
Snow's under all of this, yeah.
So
To
you think
stick
that
it in
was
the same world?
You think that was like her going back to the older times, or was that her just imagining things, or like because it seemed
Could
like
be
a
her
flashback.
dreaming. Yeah, it seemed like a flashback, but it could be her subconscious being stuck in the
Stuck
same
in that
world
same-
as where Regina was stuck.
Or maybe she was reliving old memories. I'd like
Maybe.
to think that because I feel like David probably remembers those things as well, and how they had the chance to go back to Emma, but then they stopped. So I think maybe she was just stuck in this alternate reality where she was just going back over her past memories. That's what I'd like to think. But I thought it was important to the story because it shows that she sacrificed everything for the greater good of everyone, not just themselves. And it really
Yeah.
did like a parallel at the very end when she did the same for Emma.
Yeah, no, I was excited to see that. At first, I was kind of like, what? She has the chance to go see her daughter, and
Ugh.
she chooses not to. I'm not sure. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But yeah, I'll go back to before I jump ahead. But I think, for me, I thought that was just them doing a flashback. I didn't necessarily think it was her subconscious.
Really? Yeah, I thought it was more like a flashback / dream state, reliving old things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was just kind of confused because they went through the exact same beats of the episode when we saw Regina see the Storybook in a loop. Because
Yeah.
she walks down the street, she sees Granny, and she makes this comment about Ruby, and then she literally runs into Snow White there on the street. It was the exact same beats as what Regina went through.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in my head, I put it in the same world, but now we're seeing Snow White's perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think about it, because I guess I was just thinking it was a way for the writers to kind of tell us a story that we hadn't known before, but I didn't think about how that was coming about. So I felt
Yeah.
like that's really interesting that you bring that up.
Definitely. I think there's so many things that we don't know, and it's hilarious because they always have room to throw in flashbacks and different things like that. And it's like, how many things can actually happen when we're not watching?
Yeah,
Because they can throw in
yes.
anything, and then it's like, oh, well, all along, this is something that's been in their subconscious, but we never knew until now type of a thing. And they do
Yeah.
a great job of tying in everything because it's
Right.
not like, oh, well, that's not realistic. Like, that couldn't have happened because they did this. Like, there's not very many plot holes. It seems like it's all pretty thought out, which is really nice.
I'm just reading people in the live chat. People are saying it was a flashback. Yeah, I think it was a flashback as well, but also mirrored, or like it was disguised as her subconscious as well. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a flashback that like relays to how it's parallel with today's.
Right.
Okay, I can believe it as a flashback.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was like, because that's how I imagine it, but like I said, Marissa, that was a great way to, like, think about how it kind of incorporated into, like, she's been asleep for all this time in this episode, and then they're going back and forth with it. So.
Okay. I think I was just confused because, like, how they transitioned it from, like, flashback to the present day. It was, like, a fade-in kind of overlay with the titles and stuff, and I just kind of connected the two together. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure this out as well. But thank you, everyone, for thinking it's a flashback. But they had the exact same beats, but now singing from Snow White. Okay. But when we learn in this flashback, the flower... that so conveniently helps wake David up in this world.
I know.
What did you think of the flower now incorporating this, which we haven't seen in the show?
I know, and it's apparently like what, pixie dust in the flower petals, pixie petals or something like that.
Yes.
That was kind of different. I do have a question though. So whenever they whenever he went back asleep and they did that to like save the world, so Emma could be the savior type of a thing. Whenever he fell asleep in her lap out in the woods. Did she lose memory of what went on? Because remember later on we see her, I mean not later on, but in the very first season, the first episodes, we see her like trying to wake him up and then he finally does. Like, do you think she forgot and then he woke up eventually? Or I don't understand, was that, because you know how in the flashback they were awake together, they knew what was going on, they could have went through the wardrobe but they didn't, and then he fell asleep in her lap. But then in season 1, episode 1 or whatever, whenever she wakes him up, is that all subconsciously?
He doesn't remember.
Does she remember? Because she acted like she didn't know who this guy was.
She does remember because the dark curse didn't wake them all up. They remembered, like they finally both remembered once the dark curse was lifted in the finale.
Okay.
And then they're like, Dave! Be like David or Snow White and Prince Charming when they're literally in the street, and then you see the big new curse come through the town. Right. And that was in the finale.
Yeah.
That's when they woke up and started remembering everything.
Now you raise a question for me, because obviously... If they were that, okay, so they woke up from the dark curse in this scene, in this flashback. They woke up from the dark curse and then essentially went back to sleep under the dark curse, and then obviously we know they woke back up again.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying. That's like, how did they remember that faint memory in between curses? Like that's such there's so many different lines of like, how would you remember that after
lucid dream?
I guess so, because in the season 1 episode 1 when she finally gets him to wake up, she seems like, oh, this is the first time. She doesn't seem like, oh, good, you woke up again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true. You'd think it's like every time they restart, they're remembering
what
where
happened
they
before.
Last picked up.
But maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this one just told. But then again, it's weird because they remember that this happened.
Yeah, I know.
That is kind of a
little. That's something I need to research, because.
Yes, but this flower, it now has the power to wake people up, or so reunite people's one true love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can also reunite with Emma, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, and it only comes around whenever something very, very dark is there, and it
dark
brings hope.
Presence.
Yes, dark presence, which is obviously already there, and then it grows to give hope and to give some kind of a special magic for the good people.
Yeah, but they could essentially use the petals as a portal to go into another realm.
Crazy stuff.
So this is just yet another magical totem that you can use to travel.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it be great? So you have like the beans, you have curses, you have shadows, which we'll get to, and we have flowers,
the green witch.
Things that can help you cross realms.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. So whenever whenever you're having hard luck finding some beans, just go for the pixie petals.
Yeah,
that one seems like the safest bet, actually.
Yeah.
It seems like there isn't too much bad about it.
Yeah.
Because
it's like a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah.
You know, it comes around every once in a while. It's lucky. Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it helped them very conveniently, as they always do in the show. But what did you think of once they use the petal and they see young Emma there, but their decision not to interfere with her being a child and not to reunite their family when they could have?
I know that broke my heart, but I really respected their decision. What about you?
I was kind of confused because I feel like I keep saying
You're like, I'm confused.
But no, I think, well, maybe it raised a question for me that had they been able to bring Emma into the realm, like, why couldn't they have done that and then save everybody? I mean, I understand Gold was saying that technically, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, technically if they were to bring Emma back, it would have messed up the solution.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It would have made it to where she wasn't the savior, because she had to be because she had to grow up and then like figure it out herself that she was the savior. But if there was any interference, then it would interfere with how it was supposed to go and how she was supposed to save everyone, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. I guess in my head, I'm just like, well, why wouldn't you just go in, get Emma out, bring her in, and then you guys save everybody and wake everybody else up? Because clearly there's a trigger for everybody.
Yeah.
So that was me overthinking the situation. Like, there's a solution, but obviously, you know, you can only have one storyline.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, you know, I was just kind of thinking the reason why they didn't do it because they're good people.
Yeah.
And like it was very you know, valiant, I guess, on their effort to like, let's not mess this up. We'll have to wait, but if it's for the betterment of everybody else, that they can eventually, she'll save us all instead of them being selfish right now.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like, it shows that they are good people, they are heroes. I'm like, it's unfortunate for them that, knowing that there was another opportunity that Emma could have grew up with a family, grew up with parents. That just kind of broke my heart.
It broke my heart, but I loved how whenever Emma found out about it, she was very like, she was like, I get it. And because a lot of times Emma will be like, I can't believe you did that, and then run away and be mad for a couple episodes. But it was nice to see her be like, I understand why you did that. It was for the greater good of everyone. And I think that's the savior in her speaking, because, you know, she wasn't being selfish about it. She was like, I get it, because I'm a savior and I'm trying to do all these good things. I get why you did that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you bring up, because we're finally seeing Emma has been so, like, we've seen such a growth and maturity in her character and the development of where she's come. Where, and like, now she's finally in full acceptance that she's a savior, because she's had so much struggles to get to that point.
Definitely.
Because she's had to trust so many people. She's had to, you know, she went through the whole trust issue problem. Then she went through falling in love and finding love. And it's like now everything's coming together for her. And I feel like that was a great point, because usually the old Emma would have lashed out.
Right.
But she didn't.
But she's matured since.
Yeah.
You know, and she's seen some stuff since. You know, she's been through the mill once or twice, and to the point where, like, she became a stronger, better person after all
and
that.
she realizes now she's thinking like a hero and like a savior and like her parents, that you have to sacrifice certain things in order to make it, like, be a leader and be Snow and Prince Charming like they are.
I agree. I liked how it was sad to see it, but subplug to McKenna Grace, who played the younger version of Emma. We've seen her before, but go see the movie Gifted, which McKenna Grace stars in. Fantastic.
I've heard it's amazing.
It is so good. The acting from her is amazing. So go see it. Other than that, moving on. Once Upon a Time. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that Emma had that moment of maturity, because eventually she is the savior. It's like, if you mess with history, you won't get what we have in today's present day. So, like, I'm glad that it also shows Snow White and David are just good people.
Yeah, definitely.
Once again. I mean, we kind of knew that,
I
but
know.
like, just again solidifying that they're good people.
Yep.
But then, you know, that kind of brings us to the present day story, Brooke. Snow White and David are still kind of asleep. They're still under this sleeping
This has been a
cart.
whole season.
Yeah.
What did you think of the new process that they're trying to do with Regina? And Zelena. Zelena got in this. I was like, first of all, I would not trust my heart in Zelena's hands.
Oh, I know. Are you talking about whenever they put it in the
when
McDonald's
they're like
fry?
taking the hearts out, and I'm like, here we go.
They literally put it in the McDonald's fry vat, put them in there, dipped them off, and like took them back out. And I was like, oh.
And we took the darkness
It
out.
made me super hungry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, ooh, can
Well,
I
there
get a
is a
bite of that?
McDonald's right down the road.
I know.
But what did you think of this process? Did you think it was going to work?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I had some hope, I will not gonna lie, but then I kind of quickly realized it can't be that easy.
No.
Because it was kind of one of those things where Gina's like, well, there is one thing that possibly could work, and it was like, all right, well then why haven't we thought about this before?
Right.
And she did say there was a possibility that it wouldn't work, and she did that. She's done
Dangerous.
that like every single time.
Dangerous and life-threatening. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was kind of surprised that David was just like, okay, we'll do whatever, and like, okay, like, I get why you're trying to help the greater good here, but life-threatening, like, I know you're used to getting out of things by the skin of your teeth or whatever they say, but you got to be careful. Like, this is life-threatening. Snow may not make it out of, alive. It's almost like he knew, okay, this is a show, and she's not going to die because she's one of the main characters, so let's just go with it. Yeah. It's almost like he knew it was a show. Otherwise, I feel like he would have been a little bit more
I think
scared.
At this point they were just desperate because they're really at this point they have no other options besides trying these things out, and it's like, as much as like they're going to continue to try to do things for other people, they have to get out of this curse.
Yeah.
And so I think it was kind of him feeling desperate for a solution.
Okay.
People are saying hashtag fried heart.
Yes.
French fried heart. That's hysterical.
French fried
you guys
heart.
are hilarious.
I love that.
But yeah, it pretty much was. They're trying to take the darkness out, frying it out.
I know.
So,
It's like, okay, cool.
it was interesting to watch. It was unfortunate to learn that it's not going to work. The fact that they're both not going to fall asleep and they may not ever wake up. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really? After all these episodes, now you're putting both of them to sleep? Like, all the monsters are about to, riot right now. Are you kidding me?
I was about to go out in the street and start picketing.
Exactly.
Like, me and Dakota look at each other and we were like, what? Because obviously we were having high hopes for this episode because it was named Awake. So I think the whole time we were waiting for them to come awake. So as soon as they fell back asleep together, I thought, okay, this was them just tricking us. I thought that they were never going to wake up, and I was getting really nervous.
I was like, no, not going to happen. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, name the episode Awake and then put both of them to sleep? I swear I will come at you.
But you know what? It wouldn't be the first time that Storybrooke did a twist on us. Like, that didn't happen. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I did
sorry, not sorry.
I know, but that whole process, and like, okay, the first time whenever it didn't work, like she had her heart and she's like, and she looks at David and she's like, oh no, and I'm like, of course, like, they're gonna throw in that one thing that doesn't work right before it does work. And then I was thinking the second thing wasn't gonna work, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And like, just seeing her like kind of curl up next to David in bed and just kind of go to sleep, and we were laughing so hard because literally everyone was like in the room and they're like,
and she's like, I'm just gonna cuddle right here,
and she totally was like, all right, I'll talk to you. Okay, bye.
It's okay.
She just like totally
I get to sleep again.
And she like yelled at the screen, drink some Red Bull and get up.
Yeah, I was like, come on. You couldn't be there for your daughter. Oh my gosh.
She was just ready for a nap.
Yeah, like she didn't have a problem with that. It's like, I'm sure you guys will figure it out. Let me just go cuddle up next to my hubby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just like would have scenes where everyone was talking and they would just be in the background like spooning, like eyes closed. I was just like,
it was kind of comical because like their whole family's in the room and they're just like crowded around them sleeping. Like,
I know.
When would you ever be around sleeping people in there?
Oh my gosh. Right? I know. And when they were like both on their backs and like everyone was around them in a circle, I was like, this is the weirdest funeral I've ever seen. Because they're just like sitting there and I'm like, I love it.
No, I loved it too. And like that pretty much takes us to, yes, they finally get, the interaction with Rumple and actually the Black Fairy and Gideon.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kind of jump back and forth. But what did you think of the interaction of them in the forest? Not knowing that Black Fairy's in Storybrooke, she's the evil presence that's bringing all these flowers. But Gideon actually letting one flower survive compared to everything else. What do you think?
It just goes to show that the Black Fairy is controlling his heart, and apparently, allegedly, he does have a good heart. I mean, we saw back in the day whenever she takes his heart out, he had a perfectly perfect heart. Like, he really wanted to be a good person. So it just goes to show whenever she has her back turned and she's busy doing other things, he can make decisions for himself and like do good things. And we've seen that, especially the last episode with the whole spider situation.
Oh God.
Like, we saw that he was a good person, and I do like how it seems like he really is trying to go behind her back when he can and when she's, not really paying attention much and leaving little things for good. And I like that. It makes me feel like, okay, Gideon, like, I get it.
Well, it seems like he's trying to like undo a little bit of her magic any which way he can.
Well, I think this also, to me, it showed that he's more powerful than we think he is, and more powerful than the Black Fairy thinks he is. So I think it was him kind of like showing everybody in a secret way, even though she has my heart, like, even though I'm being controlled, there is a way out. We just have to figure it out together.
Exactly.
That was kind of my take on it.
Yeah, but also, like, allowing one flower to still live. I was like, yes, he's good, you guys.
Yes.
He's good.
Yeah, he is. And that is, like, because last episode we were going back and forth. We didn't know whether he was good or not. And then finally we kind of came to the conclusion he was. But I think it is, because he was doing it for the Savior. Like, he knew he had to do this in order, or I guess he could have been, he could have been doing it for everybody. But yeah, I agree. He's totally good, and he was doing it for the town of Storybrooke.
Which I love. It's a huge relief because it's like, okay, we get why you're doing bad things now. You know what I mean? We don't have to hate you. We don't have to wonder why you're doing good things and the bad things, and you're just like all over the place. We get what's happening now.
Yeah. It's just very frustrating to keep hearing Gideon say, she's my mother, she's my mother. And it's like, nah, clearly she's not. You're just playing along with her.
Yeah.
And trying to, keep up those pretenses that...
Right.
she's your mother.
It's kind of like he's manipulating the situation in a way because he knows, first of all, how powerful, which it's such a weird thing. Like, it's such a weird, like, that's his mom, and then Rumple is his dad, but yet they have the same mom. Like, I mean, technically not, but you know what I mean? Like, that was what weirded me out.
Yeah, in fairness, the Black Fairy would be his grandmother.
Yeah. I know, but it was funny because they both said mother in, like, the same scene, so it was just kind of like,
I know.
This is weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah. It was
It's
just
that
a little strange.
Once upon a time, questionable incest.
Yeah.
That they do
incest.
every once in a while on the show. But what did you think of now we get Belle and when they're in the pawn shop? That
whole awkward interaction.
Conversation, yeah.
I know, it broke my heart because, Belle and Rumple were like, look, you can still come to our side. We'll still take you. We love you so much. And the Black Fairy's sitting there like, that's not going to happen. And we can see in his eyes a little bit like he's being controlled in that moment, but you can tell in his eyes like he wants to be with his real mother and his father. And so that moment kind of broke my heart because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just so sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing I am glad, I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead saying this, but I'm so happy that Rumple knows that he's being controlled. Because he had mentioned that at one point. And that was a huge thing for me because finally I'm like, oh, thank goodness he knows. Because the whole time, him and Belle were confused and being like, we'll get him back, hopefully. Right. But now they know, like, I think Rumple, in his head, he's making a plan. He's going to have a game plan. And I don't know if he's going to tell Belle yet because he probably will do something in his Rumple ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think Rumple will actually tell Belle and have her help along with this plan? Or do you think Rumple is the type of person like, no, I got this, let me figure it all out on my own so I get the end.
Rumple will
the
probably,
glory in the end.
I think Rumple will probably end up doing that because that's his default. He always got to figure everything out himself, and then later on he'll tell everyone, And
I think it's because he always has such strict plans, and he never wants anybody to interfere. So if he feels like Belle could interfere or like say something, or maybe even like he doesn't want to say anything because the Black Fairy could hear.
Right.
And then if she knows, like, well, obviously she knows that he knows that she's controlling his heart, if that makes any sense.
Right, yes, I follow.
But yeah, I think that if Belle finds out, like, it could just cause a whole nother complication to saving their son, essentially. But I don't know. Maybe they all will find out, and then they'll all like get together and this huge battle we're talking
come together
about.
As one happy family,
yes,
or one begrudging family.
Yeah.
I don't know because unfortunately, I don't think Rumple's gonna tell Belle before all this.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna try to figure it out, quote unquote, on his own.
Yeah.
Which is not gonna be good because we know, like, you have to work together in order to take down whatever the big bad is.
Yeah. Well, and every time he tries to do it on his own, something fails miserably, and it's just like, well, haven't you learned your lesson? Like 5 spells later, or 5 curses later,
Right. It's like you work as a team.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't always work by yourself.
Someone says, or Ivan said, Dakota, please look at this. So, do you think Gold drank the memory erasing potion? Do you think he did?
No.
No?
When
like a bitch memory erasing potion.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
No, when it was just the one to get them to to fall back asleep. It wasn't a memory erasing one, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
It was just the one that made Charming and Snow fall back asleep, so they were back into the dark curse. And then,
okay, got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, interesting. Well, that kind of brings us to now actually awaking, Snow White and David when they're all there. And I love Regina's plan. This was interesting. That I was like, why didn't we all think of this?
Yeah.
When she brings the whole town together, it's like, oh, here you go. They're just laying there in the middle of her room. That was hysterical. But, pretty much having everyone drink the potion that caused this, like, diffuse the magic, dilute it.
Yeah, I thought it was so great because finally, like, Hook said it exactly right. He was like, I would be ashes if it weren't for these people.
Right.
And it's like every single one of those, the town members we've seen before be selfish, and we've seen them try to fight for themselves. And different curses. So it was kind of nice to finally see that, we do realize that we wouldn't be here without these 2 people.
Right.
They've saved us from countless things, so it was so nice to finally see them, like, step in and take one for the team almost, and, like, make sure that they are all in this together.
Yeah. definitely.
Yeah, the whole town was definitely in, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, and they just kept passing the cup like it was mass.
I know. I was like,
blood of Christ.
No, Dakota,
very Easter themed.
Dakota was like, "You're gonna drink it all."
I know. They were like, some of their sips were like throwing it back, and then some people were like sipping it a little bit. I'm like, continuity, guys. Like, let's drink it the same. Because some people are like this, some people are like
hey,
yeah.
I mean, that's what happened at masses, you guys.
Yep.
I only joke because I am Catholic, so it's like it just gave me like, this is like a mass, you know, everyone just sharing the wine, and then everyone falls asleep just for like a second. I was actually worried.
I literally,
what happened?
I know.
Put my hands on the table. I said, no. I was like, not this. I was like, the fact that they all finally wake up. As soon as I looked around and saw the background, I was like, oh my gosh, if these people are asleep or like dead, I was like, this is going to be terrible.
I know. I was thinking, okay, season 7's just going to be David and...
Well, I was like, because we've had so many, like, give or takes. It's like we finally got Hook back, and then we finally have them all surrounded by each other, and we finally have them wake up, and then everybody else in the town before this big battle.
Just sleeping.
So I got mad for like 5 seconds.
I know, me too. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
I was so glad how everyone woke up. I was like, oh, people seriously just took power naps.
Yeah,
And that was it.
I
That was
know.
it.
They all woke up fine too. They're
know.
like, whoa.
Okay,
Hey,
refreshed.
I know.
Refreshed, you
I know, because
guys.
everyone, and they're like, oh no, everyone's dead. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? I didn't think anyone was dead. I just thought that they were all going to be under a sleeping curse until they figured out a way to wake them up. And I'm like, this is going to be a whole other season where all the cast is asleep. And now it's David and Snow's turn to wake everybody up.
I know.
But luckily
that was not the case because I was like, yay!
Yeah, I was so happy. I was like, how the heck are they going to fight this final battle if everyone's asleep?
Yeah.
I know.
You literally have this savior asleep right now on the floor. That's not good.
Well, and
I know.
I was
I'm like,
thinking,
that
how
doesn't
easy
turn out
would that be for the Black Fairy?
She just comes in and
Right?
like,
She comes in and
You're like, and you're dead, and you're dead, and you're
Yep.
dead.
But
she would just be
I
going
was
around
very-
collecting everyone's hearts like Easter eggs.
I was very happy for that, like, closure because now it's like we're starting fresh before, like, whatever this battle is. It's everybody is in the game now.
Yep.
Everyone's awake.
Everyone's awake. I feel like, okay, there's got to be a good chance that they're all going to make it out alive because when you think about it, it's all of them against the Black Fairy. It's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
People in the live chat was like, Hopper took a huge drink.
Hopper the Chugger. Hopper the Chugger, Ivan.
I mean,
I was thinking, I was like, all right.
that potion must have been really tasty.
I know.
I don't blame him.
I was thinking, is it? I don't know if this is the right show. What?
I was just thinking. Remember when everyone started waking up and I looked at Allie and I'm like, Granny's not gonna wake up. It was too hard for her little soul. It was a day or too much.
That's terrible.
That's
I know,
terrible.
but like I really thought that was gonna happen for a second because when
can't kill Granny.
she took like a big
She's
chug
awesome.
and then she like it was brandy or something. She's like,
Well, that's what I thought is that I got magic tasted gross. So I was like, aren't they supposed to think that it tastes bad? They were all drinking it as if it didn't taste bad.
I know.
But I don't know. Maybe that's to me being too I'm just like over analyzing it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Raul
no.
Flores says,
No, I
Dakota,
understand.
can you please have a singing segment from now on, especially with the musical episode coming up? Please. I would love that. Would you guys actually sing with me like on the musical episode? Can we like sing a song? Can we get together? Can
I'll
we find a
sing.
song? Okay.
I'll
sing.
sing.
Yes, we will definitely do that. Confirmed.
I sing, but I don't think it'd be great for everyone's ears.
AfterBuzz
Yeah,
TV
me
News.
Neither. We were actually just talking
Forewarning
about
you.
that before the show.
No.
Oh my gosh, I would love that
I
to
try.
sing.
Maybe on a musical episode.
We'll
That
sing
that
on a
can be
musical
like
episode.
our exception, but all the other times, no. Let's just talk about the show. You don't need singing.
Nope.
Go check out his YouTube though, if you want.
No, I'm saying we could all sing through it, like be like, you know how like in musicals.
Oh yeah, or sing along. AfterBuzz TV Once Upon a Time,
See,
sing along. Yeah.
the whole
That would be
the whole
fun.
after show, we gotta
Can you
just
imagine?
sing.
Can
Love
you
it.
imagine? I would do it.
Yeah.
I did choir for 4 years.
See?
Why not?
This is not. I'm not wanting to do a solo. I'm wanting to do this like as a congregation.
Yeah, we're all sitting here, Dakota singing.
I'm like,
and
I'm not.
he's the only one singing. All right, moving on. But now we finally, with the use of the pedals, we did finally get Hook back. I mean, Hook was a big story
Yes.
in this
Yeah.
episode. But him in Neverland making friends with Tiger Lily.
Yes.
I know.
Who knew?
Well, okay, there was kind of a friendship there. At the very beginning, we didn't know because she like shanks him in the neck. By the way, it looked pretty realistic because when she took it out, it was like bruised and kind of like the blood cells were kind of like popped around it. Like it looked pretty real. And I was not expecting her to just like shank him like that. But I did like how she ended up helping him in the long run. But for a long time there, I was like, okay, are we going to have that age-long tale that Tiger Lily and Hook are against each other? But I like how they work together.
Yeah. And going off the Peter Pan, canon and stuff, is that, it's usually Hook and Tiger Lily are against each other. But the fact that they use their creative license to be like, no, let's make them friends on this show.
Yes.
I liked it. It worked.
Hashtag Tiger Hook. I love that.
I'm
do that.
a huge Peter Pan fan, so I was like,
too.
Tiger Lily!
I
And Dakota was
know.
like, what? I was like, Tiger Lily!
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it was fun to kind of see her pop into the storyline for a brief second. I was thinking maybe she would have jumped in the wardrobe with him, and I was like, woo, she can go back to Storybrooke, because then but I guess Neverland's her home, so that'd be a little
she wants to be there.
That'd be a little weird.
That'd be lonely. I think she's like the only girl in Neverland, And obviously the Lost Boys are too busy screwing around.
Other
with
than the
her.
mermaid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess. But Tiger Lily doesn't get along with mermaids. But maybe she does in this show. Who knows?
Tiger
Peter
Lily-
Pan is evil in this show.
She's independent.
Yeah, she is
She's
a
on her
strong
own.
woman.
Yeah. She can stand up for herself.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's fine.
Hooker Lily.
Hooker Lily?
Oh, that's I don't like that one.
I like Tiger Hook better.
Yeah,
Tiger
Hooker
Hook is
Lily.
a little bit more cleaner. But I did like their friendship and the fact that it did help Hook and get him have some ideas as how do I communicate with Emma using his shadow
Which
to
was
cross
so
the
great.
realms, which is actually, it does make sense. How did we not think about this?
Yeah.
In Neverland, shadows are transient beings.
Yeah.
They can travel and go in between places.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Can we just talk about, though, whenever finally he gets that thing over to Emma and, the shadow just, brushes the side of her face. I was like, oh my gosh.
Honestly, I
was
kind of
so
laughed at
cute.
this because
You
I
didn't-
was like, okay.
Can we talk about how skinny his arm was, though?
Hokey, but I enjoyed it.
Did you see how, his arm was so skinny when it reached up?
Shadow to
I mean, it's a shadow showing affection towards Emma. You had to laugh.
I know,
I mean,
but,
I loved it, but you had to
his
laugh
arms
at
were
it.
bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? He's this
It's
little
a
twig
shadow.
reaching out.
Wait.
Shadows are deceiving.
Okay,
That's
really
true.
quick before we move on from the shadow portion, can we get clarity on what that wand was that needed to get over to Emma? I'm not sure if I missed any, it was a wand. It was supposed to help her beat the Black Fairy. But,
It looked like a piece of a tree.
yeah, but
Yeah, but wands come from trees.
That's true.
I mean, hello Harry Potter.
I know, but this one didn't even look like it had been carved.
did
I
we
know,
get any
right?
explanation, or did I just miss that?
I-
Do we get explanation on what it's gonna do?
Yeah, what did
I think
Tiger Lily
not
say?
really, not in this episode,
Okay.
but I definitely think this wand is going to come into play. That
Right.
might help with the final battle.
Okay.
We know that it's in Hook's possession.
Right.
It's now in Storybrooke. It'll eventually come back up.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything because I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what does this wand do?
There wasn't
Okay.
a lot of explanation because watching this episode,
Yeah.
I legit had the thought, I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah, I had
was
to
so
go to
quick.
rewind. Yeah.
It was so quick.
Because they were like, make sure the wand gets to Emma. And
I
was
know.
Like, oh, what? Where did that come from?
I love how the
Rewind.
shadow was
Tree
like.
sap.
I know, right? The
You have
shadow
to
was
get
like.
tree
what?
sap and this wand.
I know.
Here you
Yeah.
go. But hopefully it comes into play.
Yeah.
Later.
That'd be interesting. Apparently, it's a huge thing that's going to help them win this battle.
Right.
Yeah.
But Hook is back.
Yes.
What did you
Yes.
think of this second proposal?
Uh,
Was it done right? Was it done properly?
Yeah,
It was so
I think
good.
so. I think it was a long time coming.
Yep.
We've been waiting for this moment. I feel like for just since they've been together.
I know.
I've been waiting for them to finally get or Emma to at least have her happily ever after. So I feel like it was finally it needed to happen.
Yep.
And I'm glad that it was in a moment of because usually what we see happen is it keeps waiting and waiting. So I was glad as soon as he got back, he did it. It was a moment. I thought it was
Yeah.
great.
Okay, Casket Fan 1 says it was just part of a wand. That makes a lot more sense now.
And other people are saying the blue fairy used the wand before to banish the black fairy before.
Oh, okay.
So they can, now that they have a wand again, they can,
can
banish
try
the
to
black
use it.
fairy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
But what I want to talk about the proposal, but first I want to talk about how Emma was able to go through this wardrobe, grab him, and get out, because I was so happy because they didn't have to be screwing around and then be like, oh no, the thing's gonna close, and then them both be trapped in Neverland. So I was so happy for once they literally just grabbed him, went, and I was like, okay, finally, because it's always let's wait around the portal and talk about it for a while, and then
In
it closes.
fairness, it was a door that was open, and there were other people on the other side.
Yeah.
So if if Emma failed by the time she was in Neverland, you had like everyone else in the family be like, let's go get them.
Yeah.
They're just across the door.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know,
just
so-
across the door.
Just cross the threshold and grab everyone and bring them back.
I know.
I was more worried that other people would
gonna get
cross
through?
the realm.
And there was gonna be like this
And
weird
that
like.
would be like the setup for the next season. That
Oh,
like
that would
they
make-
crossed and like first you get rid of Black Fairy, but then you have these other
you
imposing.
know what?
That
People.
would make sense.
That was actually a book that was written about the Lost Boys. You remember that book where like all the Lost Boys somehow got into the real world, which Storybook isn't the real world, but they crossed realms somehow into the real world, and they actually had really miserable lives. All the Lost Boys. So that would be
sounds
interesting
really
because it would be like a
sad.
nod to the book, but they didn't pick
It
that.
could be, but we didn't really get that.
No,
in
we
this
didn't get that,
episode,
no.
Which I'm kind of glad.
Yep.
Yeah.
But because that led us to the actual proposal, I liked it. I wish Tiana was here, and I'm sure she would have had a lot to say about
sure
her
she
hooker
would.
for life moment.
Yep.
But I will speak on behalf of her. Sure, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it was done right for the second time
Finally.
around. It was sincere.
It was so emotional.
And it, actually, everything that he's been through, especially finding his way back to Emma, like it actually truly came from his heart, and he
Yeah.
meant it. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think I'm glad that you said that. It was like coming from his heart because it didn't feel forced or pressure or anything. Because I feel like before, even in like the episodes leading up to this, before he got banished off to Neverland, or not to Neverland, you know, banished off into the boat wherever he left. He was like feeling forced to tell Emma because he was so worried about her grandfather. So it was just kind of nice that finally it was just this raw moment between them, and it was
Definitely.
just like it was great.
Oh, I loved it. I loved how it just seemed so he was so genuine about it. He like got down on his knee and she like got down there to join him and like kissed him, and I thought it because I was thinking, okay, everything that happened before with the first proposal was going to take away from this one, but it didn't take away because it was genuine and it just kind of discounted everything that happened beforehand. They were there in that moment,
Yeah.
and I loved that. I loved
Yeah.
it.
I really liked it too. Did we cover everything? Anything else in this episode?
Yes, the
Yes,
fact that Hook and David were able to figure
Oh,
it
yeah.
out.
Yes.
The fact that he was like, "You are a new man. I know this," and they were
You're
able
a
to get that
Changed
resolved
man.
and move on, and I loved that.
Yeah.
Because there was no way that Hook would know that that was his dad. Not saying it was okay for him to kill him because he was a
Yeah.
bad person in the past, but he wasn't targeting David and being like, "Yes, I killed your father." It was like he didn't know that until he read the book, the pages.
Yeah.
So I liked how David was like, "You're a changed man. I get it. It was unfortunate that it happened, but they didn't let it get in between them, and they're gonna move on. He's gonna allow him to marry his
Yeah,
daughter."
they're
I
not
love
better.
that. Mhm.
I really just overall loved how they tied up all these loose ends that we've been waiting for. You know what I mean? It was a great tie up in order for us to be prepared for this battle.
Yep.
Whenever it may be.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked
know.
how there was two moments of maturity when we had Emma talking to her parents like, it's okay, I know what you did back then was,
Yeah.
you know, for the greater good. And then this moment when David's like, it's okay, I understand you're
Yeah.
a changed man. So
Right.
I like that too.
One
I'm glad
more
you
thing.
brought that up.
One more thing I want to say. Casket Fan 1 says, Dakota or Marissa, did you notice that when everyone fell asleep on the floor, Regina landed in her chair gracefully?
I noticed that. That was
Hashtag
great.
Regina is a true queen.
She was in her throne.
She's
It
like-
was hysterical.
I know.
And she just woke up. She was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I know.
That
I
is
love
true.
So
that.
good because it was funny because she was in front of her desk.
Yeah.
And then when
Yeah.
everyone fell asleep,
I was
she got
wondering-
behind her desk in her chair.
I mean, I love that. I bet she was like, I know what this potion does, and I'm not about to be on the floor like a peasant.
It
I have
is
to
funny.
be above everyone.
I was actually wondering
I
how
loved
she got
it.
there.
She
And then-
probably
and
just
she
knew what
wasn't
was
even,
happening.
Like, she was just like it wasn't even like a. It was
I
just
know.
like.
It wasn't like in the airplane trying to sleep, you know?
No, I swear, everyone just took a 2-minute power nap.
Yeah,
And it
they
wasn't even
woke
2
up really
minutes.
happy.
It was great. They're like, everyone's awake, everyone's alive. It's fine.
I
I
love-
loved it. It was great.
I know, I loved it too. And Tyreek Jones says, I miss the old Henry. Now I just don't notice him. And I agree in a sense
Yeah.
because Henry has not been a huge part of the story now for a little
So
while.
right.
He's kind of been in the background, not really said much, not really many lines. He's just kind of standing
He
there.
hasn't really been a part of the season.
No,
Like,
it-
he really hasn't had a big storyline
I'm
this
one-
whole season.
I'm wondering if that means it's leading up
Yeah.
to something huge. with
Either
this
that
book.
or they're just going to play him out.
Or like
Oh.
he's I don't think they'll play him out because you got to remember he's the one that started it
Yeah,
all.
he's
That's
the
true.
He's
reason.
the one that went to Boston to find Emma to come back to Storybrooke and start everything. I was
Yeah,
like,
like, you can't-
stop, Henry.
Yeah.
That's just not how writing works. But no, it is kind of sad because I thought about it in this episode too. I was like, where's Henry?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he was like there in the beginning when they're talking in the house, but other than that, we didn't really see or hear from him
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
unless he is a big part of the final battle at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel like he has to be.
I know.
I
mean, we did get some good
he'll
stuff.
help.
I'm not good stuff, but we got some stuff with him last episode where he was like demonically writing in the book. So, I
That
mean,
was only like one scene.
Yeah.
And then we just saw him.
but he did go
amongst-
because he was the author. You know, talking about the
The
author.
author.
He was there. He was there. I'll give him
They
that.
mentioned something about the hieroglyphics in this episode, but again, they didn't answer anything, so it just posed the question what
Yeah.
the hieroglyphics are.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Anything else about this episode? Favorite moments that you liked?
Loved it all. My favorite moment was the proposal. It was well needed, well deserved. I was happy. It was everything I wanted. So that, and then the Hook David resolution thing, that made my day.
Yeah.
I loved
liked it.
I loved the Tiger Lily and Hook working together.
Yeah.
That was fun because I'm a huge Peter Pan fan. So I was like,
Yes.
oh, this
Yeah,
is fun
you
to
are.
see them on like the same side.
Yep.
So
I liked it. I liked the fact that everyone got power naps and everyone's not awake.
Yep.
yes.
You know, we finally got Snow White and David back together at the
Yes.
same time, conscious.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Actually, that's a great one. Like the fact that everybody is in the same realm and all awake is a very huge, amazing moment.
It's a rare thing to happen.
It
in Once
is.
Upon a Time. You're either in a different world or you're asleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, people, get it together.
Okay, so Ivan says future Henry and his daughter in season 7 is a very popular theory around people, apparently.
Interesting.
Interesting. I could kind of see that. Like, it'd be interesting to see him
Or
in
like
the future.
they fast forwarded the timeline and
Yeah.
we don't see the younger version of Henry, but actually adult.
So that means
would we want
maybe-
to see an adult Henry? That's the question.
I don't think I'd want to see an adult Henry. I'd want to see the one that we know and love, but I feel like maybe they haven't been showing him as much, so that way they could fast forward, and maybe he is a kid and he just honestly has done this for a long time and is kind of ready to move on and have a life. Who knows? He might be done. I mean, as the story is about him, like he's the one that started it all, but he might, as a person, not a character, be like, you know what? I've done this for a long time. I might want to just like take a back seat and kind of live my life as a kid. Maybe he wants a childhood, and maybe he feels like that's the best way out.
Should.
Who knows?
I mean, he is a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. I hate to think that's true.
I don't think so. I think it's just we're pausing it for a little bit to build up to something huge.
Yeah.
For his character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like his
hopefully.
character, I think, is gonna. I think the book was like a small glimpse in him like writing the story. I feel like that was a small glimpse into something big that's gonna happen, and that's gonna be like the main thing that leads us into next season.
Hieroglyphics lead to the next realm.
Yes.
Crazy.
The next world that we haven't
Yes.
seen. All right. So let's talk about our fun segment, Once Upon a Weave. Who would you give it to? I actually have
Ooh,
one.
you know what? I think I'm gonna give it to. I think I did this last week, but probably the Black Fairy again.
Really?
Yeah, I
Alright.
like her hair. I think she's got that cool, like old evil queen kind of updo.
I'm gonna give it to my girl Regina back in the flashback storybook. You
Oh.
notice her hair was like
Oh, it
flippy
was
once again when
perfectly
she was
flipped.
like quote unquote evil queen and everyone still feared her back in the flashback, but
Yep.
her hair was still on point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Emma had a great ponytail today.
Yeah, actually,
It was simple.
I'm gonna say her because hers was like I was actually looking at it at one point when she was getting it engaged or getting proposed to. Her ponytail like had this like perfect curl.
I know.
and
I
I'm
was like, okay.
all right, your hair from like all this action that's happening like in the show, like that's a great ponytail. I'm
know.
gonna give her the Once Upon a Weave.
I think I'll retract my Black Fairy one and give it to Emma.
Okay.
I like it.
That's fair. That's
It's
fair.
simple. It's sleek. It's beautiful. It's CoverGirl.
Oh my god. All right. A little bit of news. Just
Mm-hmm.
a slight tinge of news.
A tinge. TV news.
But if you guys didn't hear, this could be spoilers. Spoiler
Alert. Spoiler.
Only because
Spoiler
someone
alert.
else spoiled it for me. Thank
Oh,
you
no.
very much. But Entertainment Weekly confirmed that the musical episode, not Snow White, sorry, Emma and Hook get married. In the musical
Why
episode.
did you just ruin this for me?
I said spoiler alert.
I know, but I didn't. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's exciting.
An
though.
interview with them said that they get married in the musical episode.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll see that. We have that to look forward
That's
to.
exciting.
That is exciting.
That means that we're gonna pause from the drama for a minute.
Well, at least
Well,
for a
let's
minute,
hope.
unless someone
Or
comes
unless
and runs the
someone
wedding.
crashes their wedding, as Once
Oh.
Upon a Time usually does
Yep.
That could
during
happen.
during ceremonious
it.
occasions.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, something's gonna crash it,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna sing about it
They're like, oh my gosh, get out of my wedding right now.
I'm really interested to see how this goes. Just because,
I know.
to see how they all deal with, like, musical theater, like, musical, like, it's going to be so fun. I can't wait.
I'm excited.
I can't wait.
I'm excited too, but so that's my only tidbit that I have. So let's get to predictions then.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. What are your predictions? Allie, let's start with you.
I think the prediction is going to be kind of what we talked about a second ago with Henry. And whatever the hieroglyphics are and his storyline is going to be the huge, like, bit that's going to bring us into the end of the season. But before we get that far, I think my next prediction would be that we may pause the drama a little bit, and the Black Fairy's cultivating something right now. And, like, it's going to be maybe the Black Fairy and Rumple not working together, but, like, in their own world figuring out this whole battle. Because she was like, oh, like, basically, like, I'm waiting for the perfect moment. So then everybody's going to think everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then, well, not really, because I know there's a battle going on. But I think they're going to just pause the drama for a second. And then, when the big battle happens, I don't know how it's going to happen, but those are just my predictions leading up.
It's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really struggle with prediction segment for this show just because anything could happen, and I don't want to just like pull something out of the air just to pull something out of the air. I do want to say I feel like we're going to see a lot more of Zelina just because like we had her last episode, this episode, and then the next week it looks like it's heavily on her.
I know.
But I feel like, and I've seen
like
on Karen David's Instagram and Twitter that her and like they've been hanging out and like they had her all dressed up and they were just playing around and being funny. I feel like I've seen a lot of clips from episodes that have just recently wrapped that were heavily involved with her, and I would love to see that because I like Zelina, and so I think like that's gonna happen. And then also I feel like this final battle is not gonna be until the very, very last episode, and then something will happen. The final battle will happen, and then whatever happens, we'll close everything out to be able to start anew with this season 7 and everything being tied up and different. And
yeah. Now that we know that the wands, this so-called wand, is in Starbrook, I think, again, going off of my predictions, previous ones, Gideon will have his good guy turn moment. He'll use the wand against Black Fairy.
I'd like to see
I
that.
don't know how it's going to happen,
That'd be
but
cool.
I think it's going to go something along those lines. He will use it on his own quote-unquote grandmother.
Whatever she is.
Yeah.
But it'd be great if it ended with Gideon to end Black Fairy. But this wand, I don't know if it'll kill her, but I'll at least send her to another realm, which I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
Just send her off.
Yeah, get her out of the picture.
But I mean, if she's sent to another realm, I mean, she's done that. She's gotten back before. So I'd like to see it kind of tied up to where we don't have to worry about her in the future anymore.
Yeah.
But I think it might, that Gideon will actually use this one against Black Fairy.
Definitely.
Like that.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, watching us every week. In the meantime, where can we keep following you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Nasta and on Instagram at AllieGirl.
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Mr. Dakota T. Jones and my new talk show on Popcorn Talk, Millennial Hollywood, on Fridays.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Keep rating, keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep watching the show. There's a lot more to happen.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.